Hey guys, Danny with Danny Gustin Fitness Podcast. Got my co-host Nico here. Got Tina behind the scenes. So today we're doing the part one of the top questions from February from our clients and members. And this first one is going to be more focused on nutrition. So how much protein should we be eating is the first question. And the second question is, what are the benefits of essential amino acids as a supplement, right? So I am personally a nutrition coach, so I led this conversation. Nico acted as the surrogate client, right? And it's data heavy, guys. So if you're someone who likes data, this is a good one for you, that quantitative information. This is really good for you. And there's also some important insights about how you can apply this stuff in a more easy to understand way, because sometimes when you got all this data, it's like, it can be overwhelming. So we tried to break that down in a more easily understandable way that you could not only process, but action on. So thank you guys.
What's going on?
Let's get right into it.
All right.
So top client and member questions for February, right? It was just February. So let's get right into it. From Melissa. How much protein should I be eating? So protein, I did a deep dive on this. As a nutrition coach, this is something that comes up regularly for me. Mm-hmm. That being said, in preparation for this, I really wanted to go even deeper with it. Go a little bit more data heavy today.
Right.
So like we talked about before, you're going to be the sort of surrogate client in this situation to ask questions and kind of challenge me on what I'm asking or try to make sense of it for the person who maybe these things don't, it's more foreign. It's not a fluent language for them, right? So let's do it. So the question was, how much protein should I be eating, right? Well, first off, that's a hard question to answer because there's a lot of factors to consider. So that's what we'll talk about today. So right off the top of my head, how much protein you're going to eat, you're my client, I'm going to talk to you.
Okay.
So how much protein you're going to eat is going to depend heavily on things like your age, your body how much you weigh, right? Hey, client.
Sorry.
Don't interrupt me, client.
Gotta step into the role playing here.
yeah. So how much you weigh and the intensity and frequency of your workouts, right?
Yes.
So we'll get into each of those here. So the protein intake needs are going to be, why would someone want to eat protein, right? Well, one, it's essential to building muscle. It's key to recovery. It's going to be huge for people who are going to want to lose weight because anyone who's tried to lose weight realizes one of the hardest parts is being hungry, right? Now, there's ways that you can work around that, but the reality is if you are in a caloric deficit, there will going to be times you're going to be hungry, whether or not you're doing nutrient-dense foods, etc. So eating more protein is going to make you feel more full, right? So in the case of, for example, think of eating 1,000 calories of chips versus 1,000 calories of chicken breast. By the time you're 1,000 calories, Tina's like, by the time you're 1,000 calories into eating chicken breast, you're going to be like, we're going to be like stuffing that in your mouth. Where chips, it's like you're hungry again in 15 minutes, right? Yeah. So those are a couple of reasons. Building muscle, recovery, and just in general, making yourself feel full in the weight loss process, right? So the USDA, the Department of Agriculture, estimates 85 to 90 grams of protein per 2,000 calories, but it does not individualize, right? So right off the bat there, that's not an individualized approach, right? 85 to 90 grams, that's not individualized, right? And as we know as personal trainers, the best results are when people are having an individualized approach, right? Now, guidelines are good to get you started, but we can help them take a step further, right? The RDA guidelines, which are set by the Food and Nutrition Board of the Institute of Medicine, is 46 grams a day for women and 56 grams a day for men, which is for sedentary individuals. And the important distinction here for the RDA guidelines is, first off, obviously they're less than the USDA's guidelines, but it's not about building muscle. It's not about optimization. It's not about successfully going through weight loss.
It's just like basic need.
It's about basically just having basic needs to survive, right? To not become malnourished, right? So good question. So the limitations of these guidelines is, again, that they're not customized all that much, right? And the last time that recommended daily allowance guideline of 46 grams per day, 56 grams per day for men, 46 for women, is that it was revised in 2005. So it was 20 years ago.
Wow.
Right? So I mean, think how much even TVs have changed since then. Right? Phones, a lot has changed dramatically. Yeah. Now the human body doesn't change, but the information and the technology we have to observe the human body has changed significantly. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge limitation right there. Yeah. But maybe for the average person who's just trying to like they don't eat any protein at all, that might be a good start.
For sure.
Right? If you don't eat any protein right now, that's probably a good start.
Right.
Right? Just me, or is it hot in here?
It is. I just noticed that.
All right.
I was like, whoa.
Yep. So here are some more customized breakdowns for protein intake that I think are going to tap more into those benefits of what we were talking about: recovery, building muscle, filling your stomach up more when you're in your weight loss journey, right? So for sedentary individuals, 0.8 to 1.2 kilograms per body weight, right? So I'm going to break these down in an easy way to understand. So that means, again, 0.8 to 1.2 grams per kilogram.
Okay.
Right? So you divide your body weight by 2.2 and then multiply that by 0.8, 2.2.
Okay.
Right? So a kilogram is 2.2. So if you're eating 2.2 grams for every kilogram, that's 1 gram per 1 pound. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I'm going to convert this out of kilograms for everybody in a sec here, but this is kind of how it's going to be listed in the things like the USDA, things like, all the government databases on these kinds of things. So for active people, that's going to be 1.2 to 2.2 instead of sedentary 0.8 to 1.2. And for active, so those are the main two, right, to keep in mind there. So for strength training, that's going to require more protein than cardio, right? So if you're someone who regularly strength trains, you're going to want to be on the higher end of that, right? So if you're thinking, should I be more like 0.8? Should I be more like 2.2? The more strength training you're doing, the more cardio you're doing, the more activity and more rigorous exercising you're doing per week, the higher that number is going to be.
Yep.
Need to be, right? Yeah. To, again, optimize muscle, optimize recovery. And that sort of intuitively makes sense, right? Because, I mean, again, the more you're breaking your body down.
Yeah.
Exactly. So far, Nico, do you have any questions on anything I've said? I know that's a lot of data-heavy stuff. Do you have any questions on that?
No, not right now.
Okay. So just to clarify that last piece of, okay, if they're recommending that 0.8 to 2.2 is an optimal direction, that's a big range, by the way, right? I would say for the person listening who's American, think just 35% to a full gram of protein for each pound you weigh.
Yeah.
So those numbers, the 0.8 to 2.2 basically get converted to around 35% too, right? So if you weigh 100 pounds for simple math, that'd be 35 grams of protein to 100 grams of protein, right? Yeah. So that's a simple way. That's kind of your range you're working within, right? So higher protein benefits, so even exceeding that 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, there's almost no risks. Right? So if someone's thinking, I don't know if I want to be extreme, you don't have to worry too much about being extreme, really at all. I mean, now there's going to be diminishing returns as far as building muscle after a certain point. You're not necessarily going to build more muscle past that 1 gram per pound of body weight. That's about where that caps for most people. But again, bringing it back to weight loss, that is where it still could be beneficial. If you're the type of person where it's really hard for you to get full, it may be important to eat
higher
more
side.
protein,
Yeah.
even more than 1 gram per pound of body weight. Point being, it's nuanced. You got to figure out what's going to work best for you. Understand your needs, and that's it. Those are the main things I wanted to share. Obviously, we could have a much more nuanced conversation on protein intake, but this is going to be a shorter podcast today. And with any other questions on that?
No. So you said, I mean, for the most common person, it's like around. Would you say it's around a gram?
Yeah. So
Per.
the general
That's not
recommendations
sedentary.
from just being healthy are going to put you at like around 50 grams of protein, right? That being said, that's not going to be adequate for most people.
Right.
So if you're really trying to find that sweet spot as a sedentary, for more customized, that sedentary person is going to be probably more at the 35% of your protein intake. Right?
Yeah.
Per gram. Right? So again, in that equation of if you weigh 100 pounds, that's 35 grams of protein.
Yeah.
Right? That sedentary person is going to go right around 35% to right around 50%. And that active person could go right around 50% all the way up to a gram per pound of body weight.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's an easy way to remember it. Right? And again, probably better to be on the side of higher protein than not. Right? Tina, you have any questions? Okay. All right. I've got some quiet clients. Good. That's how I like it. All right. Cool. So the next question from Leanne is, what are the benefits of essential amino acids? So I always like to take a step back here and just define what it is we're talking about for our viewers. So essential amino acids are amino acids that we do not synthesize within our bodies. Those are the non-essential amino acids. It's amino acids that we have to get from foods, right? And so when you eat food, especially protein, specifically protein, it's going to break down into different kinds of amino acids, right? So essential amino acids are the 9 amino acids that, again, we cannot get from our bodies alone. We have to get through food. And that is histidine, isoleucine, leucine, lysine, methionine, phenylalanine, threonine, tryptophan. Most people have heard that one, tryptophan, turkey, right? Yeah. And valine. For those of you who are aware of the branch chain amino acids, that's leucine, isoleucine, and valine. And those are the 3 that are specifically more associated with building muscle. But we're not talking about the branch chain amino acids. We're talking about essential amino acids as a supplement. That being said, part of the reason I want to talk about the essential amino acids is because as on this podcast, we really try to focus more on evidence-based research. Yeah. And as far as supplements go, we've already done a podcast on creatine. So creatine, essential amino acids, and protein powders are meet the highest standard of research for supplementation, in that they're proven to work, right? Now, some of them may overstate the benefits, right? But they are proven to work, right? In some capacity. So bringing it back, essential amino acids we need from our diet. There's 9 of them. So essential amino acids are more effective than branch chain amino acids or leucine alone. So leucine is the amino acid that is specifically attributable to protein synthesis, right? So muscular protein synthesis. So if there's one amino acid correlating to building muscle more than any, it's leucine. And that's one of the 3 branch chain amino acids. That being said, taking essential amino acids is more effective than taking the branch chain amino acids alone or leucine alone. So that brings up a good question. And the research from that, and it's kind of an intuitive answer at this point, but this is what the research shows. there is probably some sort of synergistic effect happening with all the essential amino acids working together versus trying to piecemeal what just does protein synthesis, right? Which probably has something to do with that's how our stomachs are designed, right? They're designed and evolved for food and absorbing food. So trying to separate that relationship and just focusing on
Yeah.
a specific outcome, it doesn't typically work that way, right? Essential amino acids help preserve muscle mass in aging individuals and improve better training outcomes, even more so than just eating whole protein. So this can be especially important for older people because
Yeah.
one of the things that happens as you get older into your more so when you're into your 60s and so on, is the anabolic threshold, which refers to when you can actually, when you eat enough protein, your body will start going, oh, this is enough protein to build muscle, right? It reaches that threshold.
Oh, okay.
It's harder to reach that threshold for aging populations, right? So that's especially important if you're thinking about essential amino acids. This can be a way that if you're older, you can give your body that extra little bit of boost to try to leverage and get the most from your recovery and your workouts and building muscle,
Yeah.
right? The best studies are showing that 15 grams of essential amino acids plus 30 grams of carbohydrates has the best results, the most anabolic response, even more so than compared with just eating whole foods, right? Which is kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
And the 30-gram carb thing, that even kind of goes back to the creatine conversation, is and the synergistic relationship. Again, the body tends to work best when things are taken in a balanced fashion.
Okay.
Carbs are going to boost your insulin. It's going to help drive more of these things to the muscles, get a better response in general. This is why you can't replace having a well-balanced diet. And in no way am I talking about essential amino acids and saying, hey guys, remove your well-balanced diet and just have essential amino acids. That's definitely not what I'm saying. But these outcomes are pretty huge. And again, if you're the type of person who's already doing those things and just wants that edge, or you're the type of person who's a bit older and you need all the help you can get, why not? Right? That is about it when it comes to the essential amino acids. So if you're if you're getting the essential amino acids you need and you're having a well-balanced diet, branch chain amino acids, again, leucine, isoleucine, and valine, probably not necessary, right? Any questions? What comes to mind?
No, I mean,
Just got
like,
that newborn baby
yeah,
syndrome.
it is a lot. Even for me, honestly, it's a
Yeah.
lot, that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's just a matter of finding a way to implement it into your life if you're not getting it naturally and stuff like that. So
That's a great point. This could be really good for vegetarians.
supplementation, yeah.
If you're a
Vegetarians.
vegan, you're a vegetarian, that's another one that this might be a great opportunity for because you're getting it truly in the form of just amino acids. It's not in the form of eggs or some other thing
Meat
that you
or
can't
whatever.
eat, right? Tina, anything? All right, Nico,
Thank you.
thanks. Thank you guys.